Welcome to Market Matters. I'm Nadia Hassan together with Sulhi Azman. Companies in the news we have today is one that's early out the gate. UEM Edgenta Bhd. They actually announced something that made their share price do a little dance, 7.28% up to RM3.39. Their stock was actually suspended earlier this morning to make this announcement, where that they are actually going to acquire 80% stake in KFM Holdings Bhd. So what does KFM do?
Well, KFM is an asset and facilities management company which is controlled by Encik Nurul Amin bin Abbas, who was formerly the executive director in KFC and QSR. But anyway, KFM has worth a lot of contracts before. I mean, they have a lot of contracts, 700 million ringgit in their coffers, and that will be visible to 2031. And chief among them all is the fact that they have been awarded the contract to manage and clean the PM's office.
Oh, so the PM's office that apparently got what, 1.1 billion boost in allocation this year?
During the budget 16?
But to be fair, when you say they're doing this for the PM's office, I think you mean cleaning. I don't know if this 1.1 billion includes cleaning the office.
Cleaning the office and so on.
Yeah, so it's a big thing for them, right? Because these guys are used to be known as Faber. They did a lot of government hospital contracts, and that is always one thing I thought when you look at them as a catalyst was you were wondering about whether or not they would actually improve the rates and give them more for what they manage. Now they're just straight out buying for 128 million this company. They're tapping into a big contract. They already know what to do. They're not exactly buying a plantation company, but I think personally it's good for them. Saying that, government contracts do have a caveat about them. So the caveat is that, I know you're looking at me like that, but it's like the caveat is that sometimes people will have questions over government contracts.
Over governments. But I think, when you look at government contracts, concession type especially, that would actually give you a recurring payments. And already UEM has 5 billion ringgit in their worth of contracts in their books. So that is actually going to be very accretive to them as well.
Yeah, so again, were they the best qualified for this? I think when you see big contracts, and when you see that they already have 5 billion worth of coffers, they know what they're doing. Saying that, you will always question, how did they get the contract? Were they the best person? Were they the cheapest person? I think that will eternally dog them, but in terms of their earnings, I don't think they care, because in the sense that they're 6% up on the top line, more impressively, 24% up on the bottom line.
Well, this is actually, the magical work of the CEO, Azman, whom I've interviewed them before, and when he helmed the company, and he has said that they wanted to take UEM Edgenta to become the next total asset and facilities management. They also don't also forget that they also own Propel, which actually manages the whole stretch of Plus Highway from north to south.
Okay, let's see how this kind of goes for them. But in the meantime, yes, today UEM Edgenta actually saw a nice little jump because they bought 80% stake in KFM Holdings Bhd. KFM has a lot of contracts, but the main thing is that they have a contract for the cleaning of the PM's office. And in the meantime, the company continues its transformation to a total provider, but I still question about, I believe your credentials, but is there another better person out there for a job? But moving on to our broker's call for today. Sorry for the bit of mix-up. We were supposed to give you your Inside Asia yesterday, but today we decided to give you another broker's call. We'll get a new one by tomorrow. Pos Malaysia Bhd. And I say that with such love in my voice because I have a massive love-hate relationship with Pos Malaysia. But if you look at the analysts that cover, I won't say they hate, but certainly it's not love.
Well, clearly, Pos Malaysia today closed down 7.46% to RM3.60. This was due to the fact that they announced a very dismal quarterly net profit in the second quarter last year.
You're being nice. You're talking about bottom line dropping 89.7%.
89. Okay, maybe I should say plunge in net profit,
exactly.
To 89.7%. But anyway, before we go into the earnings, right? Pos Malaysia, the controlling shareholder, the RBI Common Heart, they killed the bird when they did the rebranding exercise. And
I didn't actually notice that.
I missed the bird.
Honestly didn't notice that. Apparently, they are in the second phase of their rebranding because, let's be honest, right? Post offices the world over are trying to change their image. Advent of email, advent of instant messaging. Who needs to send a letter or a postcard? Although some people still love to. Saying that, the analysts are not showing them love. We have Kenanga today and we have HLIB. Underperformed, they lowered their target price to RM3.24. HLIB also sell with lower target price of, I think, 3. Yes, they actually all lowered it down. So the thing is, the one thing that they pointed out was the reason why the dismal drop in the net profit was that, yes, they are trying to revamp themselves, but you saw higher operating expenses and lower volume growth. Simply put, not many people are posting as much, and you just have way too many staff to manage this thing. Hong Leong says the same thing, and I personally kind of believe in that because I've gone to post-ledger counters where there'll be 2 people working and 3 other people lolling about. Seriously, and the level of yes. Continue on, Sulhi, before I explode.
Oh yeah, okay. Anyway, Kenanga research says that because of the dismal performance, that they have downgraded net profit targets by around 16 to 21% on poor sets of results. And Pos Laju, for instance, of course, they have this new CEO coming in, Dato' Muhammad Shukri, and the question is, will the new CEO be able to turn around Pos Malaysia, which has always been seen as a non-performing companies?
Well, it's not non-performing. I mean, put it this way, there's a reason why you see a lot of courier companies spring up. We're not talking about FedEx, we're not talking about DHL, we're talking about GDEX, we're talking about City Courier. Why are all these guys popping up when you have Pos Laju? Doesn't that say something fundamentally wrong about what your system is? So this huge amount of staff, honestly, they just need to be trained better. They need to be more performing. I don't think you're not going to turn around the numbers. You can say transform to me all you want. If you do not improve the people at your core.
True enough. I mean, at the same time, Pos Malaysia, they needs to really do a lot of cost cutting.
I think they need David Copperfield to come in and change them. I mean, they have their 5-year strategic plan. Have we seen any improvement? There are still people like GDEX still make a lot of money. There has to be something that works in there. Yes, I know. I'm sorry. So he looks at me like, no, I better not anger her anymore. Anyways, yes. My feelings about Pos Malaysia aside, the fact is they announced their results. We saw a really, really steep drop in net profit for them. We are looking at Kenanga. They basically said underperform and they lowered their target price some more. HIB was the same. Sell, they said, with a lower target price. They say there is still potential. I mean, let's take that away from here. The fact is there still is potential from the transformation, but I think it's hugged along a lot of stuff, and the new CEO has to be able to make those changes, but we say that for a lot of things anyway. Besides that, my rant has come to an end. I'm Nadia Hassan together with Sulhi Azman. That is your market matters for today. If you want more on the stories we talked about, there's the Edge Markets, and of course, if you want a more physical copy of the paper, there is the Edge Financial Daily and Edge Weekly. Good night, guys.